What's going on, Pokemoshpitbeta? This is GunMonkey696, and as you can see, I've got another TCGO video for you guys today. So, in this video, I'm actually playing a rogue deck, which is a deck that is not really seen much. Usually a deck that was just invented and no one has actually seen. If someone's bringing a rogue deck to a tournament, it's usually a deck that was made to counter what they thought they'd see at the tournament. And most people are going to be like, what's this deck? So it usually also has the surprise factor. You know exactly how their deck's going to run. They have no idea what you're doing until probably halfway through the match. So my deck is Chandelure Ninetales, which I found to be a really nice deck to counter the current format. The current format have a lot of low HP energy accelerating pokes. Last format, cards like Typhlosion, Emboar, and also Electric, ones that was released, used to be very common, so this tactic wouldn't really work. But at the moment, the only two energy acceleration pokes that are commonly seen are Electric and Celebi, both which have relatively low HP, and Tynamo, Electric's pre-evolved form, is actually going to be 1-hit KO'd by Chandelure's first attack, which does 30 to the active and 30 to each of the bench, so it's really nice. And even if they do manage to evolve into the Electric, you can still 3-hit KO them, which is not bad at all. Unfortunately, as you can see here, I actually have a really bad start. The starter you want to have when you open the game, it's usually Cleffa. If that's in the active position, you know that it's going to be relatively fast setup. If you have Litwick in the active position, it's also alright, because Litwick's first attack, I think it's Call for Family, that attack allows you to find a basic from your deck and put it on the bench, which is really nice, helps you get set up. However, I start with a Vulpix, which is definitely not what I want to start. I only run 3 Vulpix in this deck, so it's a little unfortunate I have to start with it. And I do have to attach the energy to retreat that some turn here, or just to let it get KO'd if I want to get it out of the active, whereas Cleffa has free retreat, and Litwick I want to stay in the active because I'm going to eventually end up attacking with Chandelure. So as you can see, my opponent, however, is having a really nice start. It's definitely applying a lot of pressure to me. I am the definite favorite for this matchup. Chandelure can 3-hit KO every single Pokemon he has, and 1-hit KO a lot of them. He can 1-hit KO the Tynamos he'll put in play, and the Tyrogues he has on the bench, and 3-hit KO Electric and Zebstrika, which is awesome. So I know that if I can manage to get my setup, I should definitely be able to win this match, but as you can see, he's much more set up than me, and I'm really struggling to get a foothold of this match. My hand I drew into here really isn't that great. However, I do manage to catch her up that Electric and hopefully stall for a few turns. Would have been awesome if I could draw into some energy, however I do not. That's going to mean that I can't get the Egg off this turn, so I'm just going to have to pass. Now, my game plan here is hopefully to get myself an energy on Vulpix and then retreat an Eek next turn, and then the turn after that, hopefully I'll be able to start attacking. However, it all depends really what I draw. The main way you want to set up with this deck is you want to get Ninetales out first, and then that'll definitely help you getting into the Chandelures and will help you stream those stage 2s, which are not seen a lot in the current format. However, the way this deck works is that Ninetales is used so you can draw right through your entire deck and usually have the majority of your deck actually in your hand. And when you have all those cards in your hand, it should be pretty easy for you to just continually evolve into Chandelures and keep attacking with Chandelures. So as you can see there, I do manage to get the Roast Reveal off. That's what you're going to see a lot of times during this match, and then I'm going to be able to play the energy retrieval and get that back into my hand, and now I've got a choice. I could try and go out into my Cleffa here in Eek, but I don't really want to do that. I kind of like this hand. I don't really want Cleffa to be in the active position here because I know that it will just get KO'd, and I don't want to give away any prizes. So I'm actually going to make the choice to catch her out Zebstrika. Now, the way I figured was that if I can catch her out Zebstrika, he'll only be able to attach 1 energy here, and means that he will not be able to get the disconnect off, which is he'll only be able to get the disconnect off. He will not be able to do 80 to anything, which means that I'm relatively safe. I will not be able to use trainers the next turn, but I'm still in pretty good shape. So for now, I know that he is going to start setting up another Zebstrike on the bench, as you can see there. However, if I can start to do damage on the next turn, hopefully I'll be able to pull this match around. I know that if I can start to target his electrics and any other Dynamos he puts down, I will be able to take them cheap prizes on those Dynamos. The Tyrogues are going to be sitting there as prizes whenever I need them. They pose no real threat at the moment, so I'll leave them there until I need the prizes. And if I can start to target the cards that he needs, such as electric, and once the electrics are gone, the Zebstrikers, then I should be able to win the match, and that's why this matchup should be an extremely easy one for me, because there's not really any decks that I'll prefer to verse. However, as you can see, I'm just getting an absolutely terrible start here, but it's starting to turn around here. So, as you can see, I go for this Flame Burst. That's pretty much the only attack I use in this deck. I don't decide to target the Tyrogues. Like I said, doing damage to the electrics means that the second I take out that electric, I'm pretty much going to shut him out of any energy he has. A lot of his energy is going to be in the discard pile already, and then he's going to be completely out of energy and is going to have real trouble KOing my Chandelures. The only time I use Chandelure's secondary attack, Inferno, is against EXs. EXs tend to have too much HP for me to pick away at them and get anywhere. So if I can catch her out something like a Zekrom EX, well, it has no energy on it, and then Inferno, which does 80 and also burns, but you have to discard all the energy attached to Chandelure. Usually that EX is going to be stuck in the active position for another couple turns, and while the burn damage and more Inferno damage racks up, as well as damage on the bench, I can usually have a pretty easy time closing out the match from there. So as you can see here, I decided to play the Oak. I didn't really need to play it, but I did want to get into another Vulpix, so hopefully I can get a Ninetales up. At this point, I'm pretty sure that one of my Ninetales is prized. I only run 2. Recently, I have switched that out to a 3-3 line of Ninetales Vulpix. However, in this match, I was only running 2 because you only really ever want 2 Ninetales up. 3 is a little bit excessive, but as in this match, if you do have Ninetales prized, it can be really difficult for you to stream those Chandelures the way you need to. The format's evolved in a way that Stage 2s aren't really seeing a whole lot of play, and that's mostly because your opponent can set up basics much easier than you can set up Stage 2s. However, having the majority of your deck in your hand means that streaming those Stage 2s can be extremely easy, and usually you can even win against basic decks simply because if you cut out their energy acceleration, they actually take longer to set up than you do because you only need 1 energy and then a turn to evolve, which can all be done in 1 turn. They need to get 2 to 3 energy on them to attack, which can be extremely difficult, especially if most of their energy is actually in the discard pile. So as you can see here, he actually managed to take out my first Chandelure, but things are looking up for me now. I know that by the end of the next couple turns, he will have no energy acceleration. One of his Zebstrikers is almost dead, and the other one will be dead in a little bit. And he's also got Dynamos there, which are just completely vulnerable to my Flame Burst whenever I want to take the prizes. Like I said, one of the best parts about playing Rogue decks is actually the surprise factor. So, if he knew what he was playing, I'm sure he wouldn't have played down those Dynamos, those Tyrogues, sorry, because they're just easy prizes for me. So, you know, if this deck does take off and become a little bit more popular, people will learn to play against it, and it will make it a little bit more difficult to win matches with, but I definitely still feel like it is an extremely good deck, and one that could possibly win a tournament if you had the correct person playing it. So here, like I said, the match is looking like it's almost over. She can come in here and maybe take out one of my pokes, but will not be able to take out Chandelure. It has too much HP, and she can only do 80. So here she's just going to send good game, and unfortunately she's just going to concede the match, which is a little bit annoying. I would prefer to take all 3 of my prizes. It'd be cool to take 3 prizes in 1 turn, but she's just going to concede, so that's going to be the match. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, definitely come check out my channel. I post a lot of TCG videos with the top decks and rogue decks like this one, so if you're into TCG, definitely check this out. I recommend definitely playing this deck if you like it. It's an awesome deck, so if you do play TCG yourself, definitely play this deck, and I hope you all have a good day, guys. See ya.